They say the worst kind of betrayal is the one you never saw coming. For David, it began as a quiet unease, the kind you can't explain but can't ignore. His wife, Emily, had started coming home later, her perfume stronger, her phone always tilted away from his sight. He told himself it was stress from work, that love like theirs couldn't just vanish. But deep down, something inside him whispered that a storm was coming. And when the truth finally revealed itself, it didn't just shatter his marriage. It destroyed his trust in everyone he thought he knew, especially in the man he once admired most. David and Emily had been married for 8 years. They built a life together in a quiet suburban neighborhood, filled with weekend barbecues, shared morning coffees, and dreams of a family that never quite came to be. Emily was ambitious, working as a project manager at a growing marketing firm. David ran a small carpentry business from home, pouring his heart into handcrafted furniture. Their love wasn't perfect, but it was steady, or so David thought. Emily often spoke about her boss, Mark, a charming, sharp-dressed man in his early 40s who seemed to command every room he entered. David didn't think much of it at first. After all, she had always been open about her work. But over the past year, things had begun to shift. Emily started dressing differently for work, more polished, more deliberate. She became protective of her phone, quick to silence it when it buzzed. And then there were the late nights. At first, they were rare, explained away by urgent deadlines. But soon they became the norm. David noticed the small things too. The way her laughter changed when she talked about her day, how her eyes lit up at the mention of her boss's praise. He tried to brush it off, convincing himself that he was imagining things, that his insecurities were playing tricks on him. What he didn't realize was that each late night, each lingering smile, was another thread unraveling in the fabric of their marriage. Emily wasn't just chasing professional success. She was stepping into a dangerous intimacy that would soon cross a line from which there was no return. It began with business trips. Emily had never traveled for work before, but now there were conferences and client meetings that required overnight stays. David wanted to trust her, but the signs became harder to ignore. She started coming home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't his, her makeup slightly smudged in ways that didn't suggest long hours at the office. At home, she became distant. Their conversations grew shorter, her patience thinner. David tried to bridge the gap, surprising her with dinner, planning weekend getaways, but she always had an excuse. She was too tired, too busy, or had a work event she couldn't miss. The first real crack came one Friday night when she said she was staying late to prepare for a Monday presentation. David decided to bring her dinner as a surprise, thinking maybe they could share a quiet meal at her office. But when he arrived, the building was dark. Her car was gone. He didn't confront her that night. Instead, he sat in silence, replaying the lie in his mind. Something in him shifted. A cold, heavy certainty began to settle. The next few weeks were torture. Every time she laughed at a text, every time she adjusted her hair before leaving, his stomach tightened. One rainy evening, Emily came home later than usual. She was humming to herself, a soft, satisfied tune David hadn't heard in months. He watched her place her purse down, her smile lingering from whatever moment she had just left behind. That night, David's curiosity broke into action. While she showered, he checked her phone. It was locked with a new passcode. The next day, he installed a discreet location-sharing app on her device, telling himself it was just for peace of mind. The truth came faster than he expected. The following Thursday, her phone's location showed her at a boutique hotel across town. He drove there, heart pounding, rain streaking across the windshield. From the lobby, he saw her through the glass of the hotel's bar, sitting close to Mark, her hand resting on his knee, their faces inches apart. They weren't discussing work. They weren't pretending. In that moment, David felt the ground disappear beneath him. David didn't storm in. He didn't make a scene. He stood there, watching the life he knew dissolve into something unrecognizable. Emily laughed at something Mark said, leaning into him like a woman in love. Not the kind of love built over years of shared mornings and quiet nights, but the rush of something forbidden and intoxicating. He left before they could see him, driving aimlessly through the rain. Every memory, their wedding day, their first home, late-night talks, now felt like part of a carefully constructed lie. His hands trembled on the wheel, his chest tight with a pain he couldn't put into words. When Emily came home later that night, she carried the scent of expensive cologne and the faint trace of guilt in her eyes. David didn't ask where she'd been. He already knew. The next day, he packed a small bag and left for his brother's house. There was no shouting match, no dramatic confrontation, just a quiet withdrawal from the wreckage of what they had built. Sometimes, silence is louder than rage. The divorce was swift. Emily didn't fight it, and David didn't ask for explanations. He didn't need to hear her say she loved someone else. He had seen it in her eyes, in the way she had already left him long before that night at the hotel. Months passed, and David began to rebuild. His carpentry business grew. His circle of friends tightened around him. The pain didn't disappear, but it dulled into something he could carry without breaking. He learned to trust himself again, to find joy in small things. The smell of fresh wood in his workshop, the sound of rain on his roof. Emily moved in with Mark. David heard about them through mutual acquaintances. Office gossip that painted a picture of a couple flaunting their romance. He didn't feel jealousy, only a strange, distant pity. He knew the foundation of their love was built on someone else's broken heart. Looking back, David realized betrayal changes you in ways you can't predict. It strips away illusions, forces you to see people not as you wish they were, but as they truly are. And though it breaks you, it can also rebuild you stronger. Because in the end, betrayal isn't just about losing someone you love. It's about losing the version of yourself that needed them to feel whole. And once you survive that, you understand something powerful. No one can take away the peace you create for yourself. So the next time you trust someone, remember this: love is a gift, not a guarantee. And sometimes, letting go is the only way to truly keep yourself.